Our story continues in the wood, with the Spruce dragging another body towards its lair. We see it as a police officer. It's still wearing Nate's face, but is badly mangled and decomposing. The Spruce stops and bends down, looking at the corpse. It strokes the face tenderly and raises one of its fingers, where we see a sharp claw protruding. It bends down and we can hear it begin to cut. All around we see a pile of body parts and corpses, each mangled and torn apart. Back home, Rebecca is sitting at her desk with her camera plugged into the computer. She pores over the information, staring intently at the footage. What the shit? She continuously goes through the footage, but all she can see is footage of her running through the woods, but it doesn't show the Spruce in pursuit. It can't be. It's as if it isn't even there. She unplugs the camera and sits there. She notices something and turns around to see the cat sitting on her window ledge. She looks a little confused as she sees the windows closed. She crosses her arms as she stares at the cat. Please tell me you aren't who I think you are. The cat merely alights and saunters over to the chair and leaps onto her lap. She looks around and gingerly strokes its head. You've been awfully quiet. The cat looks at her and cocks its head. Left my camera and I had to go back. That thing grabbed me, but I managed to film something. The thing is, well, when I look over at the footage, that thing isn't in there. The cat just stares at her. And I aim the camera straight at it, too. The cat purrs in response. What am I doing? Talking to a cat all by myself? Like some crazy old lady. She gets up and walks to the window and peers out to the wood in the distance. It's out there. And it's obsessed with me for some bizarre reason. She turns around. What does it want? The cat walks around in a circle. A circle? Are you trying to tell me something? Is my logic all circular and shit? She turns back towards the window. Every fiber in my being is telling me to stay the hell out of the woods. But I've got to find out what it is and what it wants. If I don't, it'll just keep coming after me over and over again. Maybe if I can find out why, I can figure out a way to stop it. She stands up. Shit. I've got to go back there. And you're coming with me. She turns around to see the boogeyman sitting in her chair, hands folded on his lap. Well, I'm game. It cuts to the edge of the wood where we see a police tape and a police car at the corner. As Rebecca walks forward, she hears a voice. Ma'am? Ma'am? She turns around to see a police officer jog towards her. You can't go in there. Why not? We've had some people go missing in there over the past week and a half. Utility workers, inspectors, other officers. We're advising everyone to stay away from the woods for the time being. But you don't understand. I went there a few days ago and I think I dropped my camera and I need it for work. We'll look for it, but you can't go in there. Rebecca pulls a face. Sorry, ma'am, it's for your own good. Right. Well, if you do find it, can you call me at this number here? It's super important. She hands him a business card and he looks at it. Yeah, well, if we find it, we'll give you a ring. As Rebecca walks away, she looks after the officer and turns a corner. Wow, that went well. Do you hear what he said about all those people going missing? The cat appears on top of the wall, blocking the woods from the rest of the neighborhood. I think I may know who may be behind it all. I shudder to even think about it. Well, he's a desperate fellow if he's going around kidnapping and dispatching people like that. He tries to snap his paws. Damn it. Come on. I know another way. It cuts to the ravine where Rebecca scrambles up the embankment and crawls into a hollow. She draws her breath as the cat effortlessly bounds over and climbs a tree limb and rests. She looks up. Must you really do that? What? You're showing off. I'm not. It begins to lick its paw. I think I stepped on a thorn back there. Rebecca shakes her head and begins walking. She stops and covers her mouth. What? Rebecca coughs and pulls out her mask and puts it on and continues in the direction of the smell. She presently finds herself in a different part of the wood and she sees an enormous mound. As she draws closer, she's hit by the smell, but this time it's far more pungent than before. She gags and turns away as the cat scurries over and scratches at the mound. Oh my. Rebecca turns to see the mound is composed of decomposing corpses and body parts, some shorn and others still intact. She picks her way through, pressing the mask to her face. Say, tell me this. All this, is this normal behavior for a spruce? Can't say. There's only ever been one. I mean, it's not like they're willingly gonna sit still for a biologist to observe them. He looks at one of the bodies. And even we don't know too much about it. We? Magical folk. Ah, of course. At the corner, the officer is drinking a cup of coffee when he hears a noise. He turns to see a man stumbling out of the woods. He puts down the cup and runs over. Excuse me, sir, you can't be in the woods. I know. I was just minding my own business, and next thing I know, I'm in there, and this lunatic says he's gonna carve me up like a Christmas goose. All right, it's okay. Let's get you looked at here. Oh, officer, you don't understand. That freak is out there in the woods right now. You gotta go in there and stop him, or else I'll keep dragging more innocent people in there. The officer picks up the radio. This is O'Mallory over at Gate Eastbourne. I'm at the edge of the wood, and I've got a guy here who said he escaped from the lunatic who's kidnapping people. Is there physical trauma? It looks like there's a cut of the forehead, but he seems lucid. Ugh, we don't have time for this. He turns and runs back into the woods. Shit! The man just ran into the woods. What a nut job. Send back up. I'm going in after him. Affirmative. The officer draws his gun and runs into the woods. Hey! Get back here. He scurries down the path, following the footprints made by the man. Back at the site, Rebecca can hear noises and the cat motions for her to take cover. She scurries behind a small earthen mound and appears to see an officer charge in, gun drawn. He looks around, surprised. The hell? Where did he go? He was just here. He looks around and then pulls a face. He walks over to the mound to see the bodies. Oh God. Oh dear God. As he leans against a tree, Rebecca is about to make a move when she feels a hand and turns to see the boogeyman in his human form. He points and we hear footsteps. The officer looks up to see the same man as before. Hey, where'd you go? You got me worried there for a second. I'm sorry. Look, you can't just go charging into the woods like that. You're lucky I found you before whoever did this does. He turns to the mound. The hell is this anyway? The lunatic's larder. What? He picks up the radio. Just stay there, okay? Don't go running off again. Hey, this is O'Mallory again. I'm in the woods. I have backup come in right away. I've got something they're gonna want to see. He suddenly stops. Rebecca's eyes widen as she sees branches and vines impale the officer. To her horror, she sees this coming from the man. He shoots another vine into the man's neck, and he twists the vines. As the man speaks, we hear the officer's mouth move as well. Hey, disregard that. It's fine. We're good. I found the man and gave him treatment from the first aid kit. We don't need backup. We're good. Alright. You okay, O'Mallory? You sounded distraught earlier. Oh, that. I was just worried about the man getting lost, but we're good. We're heading back now. Got it. Roger out. Rebecca watches as the Spruce sheds the flesh costume and tears open the officer's back and enters. The officer falls to the ground, writhing and foaming at the mouth. Presently, he stops moving. Rebecca gets up and walks over and looks down. Officer? She prods the man. His eyes open and he sits up and points the gun at her. What the shit? As she backs away, she turns to see she is, again, alone. What do you want? Want? Want is such a pedestrian thing. No, I need you. Rebecca's eyes widen. You need me? You've walked through these woods for months and I've been watching you. I've observed you in your daily activities. When Ben dumped you and you cried all night, I too wept and wanted to be there to comfort you. But I couldn't then. He touches his body. But it's all different now. Rebecca. Rebecca falls down and crawls off as the officer grabs her by the hair. Why did you come back into the woods? You escaped. Why didn't you stay away? I filmed you, but when I reviewed the footage, you didn't appear. Why? Before he can say anything, the boogeyman hits the officer and he falls to the ground. Rebecca looks up. Really? You're welcome? I was this close to finding out why I couldn't see him, and then you colossal bonehead. Amazing. Gratitude takes on so many forms. This isn't gratitude. A shot rings out, and they turn to see the officer sitting up. We can ponder on that later. Come on. He grabs her hand, and they flee as the officer fires another round. He begins to march after them, lumbering. As the two flee, the boogeyman hurls fallen tree limbs, logs, and other items at the officer, who merely absorbs them. They come to the ravine. Alas, Rebecca Sprague, I fear this is where we must part company. What? Go, now. I'll hold him off. Are you sure? They hear another gunshot. Good luck. As Rebecca scrambles down the ravine, the boogeyman turns into an enormous wolf as the officer stumbles to confront him. This doesn't concern you, Alphaeus. Leave and let me claim my prize. The wolf howls and charges towards him. The officer fires 3 more rounds, wounding the wolf. However, this doesn't deter him, and he leaps onto the officer, tearing at him as vines and branches shoot out and hurl the wolf away. They both struggle to their feet. The officer's face is half torn off, but in place of muscle and bone, we see the wooden bits instead. He touches his head and feels half of his face is gone. You. The wolf snarls and bounds towards him. As they struggle, the spruce, angry, begins molting out of his fleshy shell. It wraps its branches and vines around the wolf and begins to smash him against the ground, increasing in violence until the wolf isn't moving. The spruce sees bits of flesh strewn all over the forest floor. Must find new body. Must find new body. As he stumbles off, the wolf whimpers and struggles to its feet, its fur drenched in blood. It snarls and charges after the spruce, biting down on one of its limbs and tearing it with ferocity. As the spruce screams and tries to stop him, the wolf continues tearing at him until there's nothing left but a half-torn face. As the wolf backs away, the spruce growls and recedes into the ground, leaving behind the face. The wolf winces in pain and slowly walks away. Back at the mound, we see vines and branches shooting out the ground and a reformed spruce standing over the strewn bodies. It sees they're smoldering, and when it realizes what happened, it roars in anger. The boogeyman had used Rebecca as a distraction to burn its abattoir. It angrily hurls rocks and logs in all directions, screaming. It hears voices and footsteps and turns to see police nearing his position. It growls and recedes into the earth just as they arrive. Rebecca is in her apartment watching the news. And some disturbing news. Police have found the burned remains of 10 kidnapped victims. They have been burned beyond recognition, but they are working to identify the bodies so loved ones can be informed. The police have advised that the woods off Gates and Eastbourne are off access until the killer has been apprehended. She hears a knock at the door and opens it to see the boogeyman, badly wounded. Are you alright? He says nothing, but collapses into her arms.